Hello everyone, welcome back to the Audit and Attestation class. In this class, we'll be understanding in detail about audit engagement. So let's dive into for more detail. Okay, let's do some practice questions. So first question, the responsible party with respect to prospective financial statement is usually, so who is the responsible party? The internal auditor, the third party, which is an anticipated user of the statement, financial statement, the entity's management or external accountant. Who is the responsible party for the financial statement?
Management.
Entity's management, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Everyone agree to?
So there yes.
are responsible for
Design,
Management.
implementation, maintenance of internal controls, and fair presentation of financial statements.
Okay, so let's look at second question here. A CPA is engaged to audit the financial statement of a non-issuer. Keep in mind, non-issuer, that means a private company. After the audit begins, the client management questions the extent of procedure and object to the confirmation of certain contracts. So here, like once you have started the audit, the client is stopping you and they are saying like you're performing too many audit procedure and they object to the confirmation of certain contract. That means customer confirmation they are requesting not to send. The client asks the accountant to change the scope of engagement from audit to a review engagement. So I know like most of you who are a chartered accountant in India, you may feel like how that can be possible, but in US it is possible. In US it is possible that you can change the scope of audit. So like you can change from audit to review engagement or maybe review to compilation engagement or audit to a compilation engagement, but if there is a justified reason to it, right? But not just on the wish list of the management, because in US for the non-issuer audit is not mandatory. For issuer it is requirement of SEC, but for non-issuer it is not mandatory. So audit is being generally conducted for the private company only to satisfy the investor or only for the requirement of banking, loans or other things. But as per the compliance perspective, audit is not mandatory for a private limited companies in USA, right? So here they are saying the client asks the accountant to change the scope of engagement from audit to review. Under these circumstances, the accountant should do each of the following except. So keep in mind except. What accountant should not do? First one is consider the reasons given for the client's request and assess whether the request is reasonable. Second is issue an accountant's review report with a separate paragraph discussing the change in the engagement scope. Third is evaluate the possibility that financial statement information affected by the limitation on the work to be performed may be incorrect or incomplete. Consider the additional audit effort and cost required to complete the audit. Under these circumstances, the accountant should do each of the following except. What an accountant should do? Why?
Second, so because he before even getting into the things as to why he's discussing about changing the procedures from audit to a review engagement, he has already issued a review report and just given a paragraph. He should first discuss like all the other points discussed, that is the request reasonable and is there a possibility of a misstatement because of this, and then he should, when he reaches a conclusion that this is okay, now I can take and review, then he should issue a review report itself rather than just mentioning a paragraph about like that there has been change in scope of engagement.
But
This is what I think.
it should be discussed previously, like once the review is conducting, so it should be discussed previously that if there is any change in the scope as well or not. So it should be discussed previously, after doing the audit or.
How about others? Pulak,
Sir,
Sanchit.
I have small doubt, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Sir, in the question, it is mentioned that the client asked the accountant to change the scope to change the scope of the engagement from an audit to a review.
Hmm.
Sir, upon the consideration of client, if the CPA changes audit to review, then where is the independence of the CPA, sir?
Okay. How about others? Yeah, I'll come to answer everyone, but let me hear out everyone. Yeah, Pulak, Vineet, Mohit, Sanchit, what's your view?
I think auditor should assess the risk assessment also. Why
Hmm.
they have asked for change their opinion, or change the procedure and confirmation.
Hmm. Yeah, Sanchit, Vineet,
Yes.
what yes?
No, actually, I was just understanding the things that they were saying. So
Hmm.
trying to get like, okay, for this option.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. So let's look at the question again. What they are saying, like here, client is stopping you or limiting your work, and then the client is saying, rather than giving an audit opinion, you can go to the review engagement, but don't do confirmation procedure, don't do so much extensive testing. Do your analytical procedure and inquiry procedure and issue us the review report, right? So here in this kind of scenario, as an auditor, as a CPA, what all things you need to keep in mind. First of all, whether the request of the client is genuine or not, whether the request of the client is reasonable or not, that is something you need to assess. Second is like evaluate the, you can say, the scope limitation impact on the overall review engagement or overall financial statement for which you have been given a new assignment. Third is consider the additional cost, that secondary thing, cost or stuff, but more importantly here you need to assess the reasonableness of the request and genuineness of the request which the client has made. For example, there might be a scenario earlier the clients was requested you to perform the audit and give an audit opinion required for the investor, prospective investor, let's say, right? But now they are not going for the funding round, and at this point of time they do not want to invest too much money on the audit also, right? But they have already appointed you as an auditor, so to maintain a good relation with you, at the same time they are not going for the funding round, they requested you to go for a review engagement rather than a full-blown audit engagement, right? In that case of scenario, the request is legitimate because as per the law there is no requirement of audit, but they have appointed you as an auditor to give the audit opinion because they are planning to go for a funding round. But now the investor has backed out and they are not going for a funding round. To maintain the relationship, they have requested you to go for a review engagement and reduce the fees and as well as the scope of work. In that case, it's a legitimate request and you found it reasonable, and you can go from full-blown audit engagement to a review engagement. But where they are saying like scope limitation, you should not go to our customer, you should not go to our lawyer. In that case of scenario, it is not a legitimate request to change from audit to review engagement, right? In that case of scenario, you will not be issuing the review report. It's better to withdraw from the engagement, right? Make sense?
But
But
here,
sir, here
Hmm.
it's better to withdraw rather than giving a separate paragraph, for the
Yeah,
change
yes.
change in
So
change in scope.
if you see the question over here, call of the question, they are saying under these circumstances, accountant should do each of the following except. Accountant should do all these three things. Accountant will be doing this and all these things. But will not be issuing a report in the separate paragraph. So key point here is except. So that is the trick in the question.
Yeah, got it.
Make sense?
Yes.
Next question. An auditor is required to establish an understanding with the client regarding the service to be performed for each engagement. This understanding generally includes what? The auditor responsibility for ensuring that appropriate level of management is aware of any significant deficiency that comes to the auditor attention. Management responsibility for identifying mitigating factor when the auditor has doubt about the entity ability to continue as a going concern. Management responsibility for providing the auditor with an assessment of the risk of material misstatement due to fraud. The auditor responsibility for determining preliminary judgment about the materiality and the audit risk factor. So what is the call of the question? What is the call of the question? An auditor is required to establish an
To understand that the
understanding.
request is genuine or not.
So this understanding generally include what?
In audit engagement letter, we will be telling the client that what work will be done, how it will be done, not in detail, in the summary point of view, what is the scope, and we will be issuing only an opinion, not we will be issuing the correct opinion.
Sorry, your voice was not clear, Sandeep. Share it again.
Please wait a minute, sir. I'm checking the connection.
Okay. Till the time anyone else would like to share. An auditor is required to establish an understanding with the client regarding the service to be performed for each engagement. The understanding generally include what?
Understanding would be like what would be the final conclusion that the auditor has to convey to the management?
Not at all.
No? No?
Not at
Okay.
all. You cannot upfront say like I'll be giving you
Okay.
modified opinion or clean report.
No, like what I meant was maybe he gets to an understanding that I will perform all the audit procedures, the substantive analytical procedures, control procedures, and whatever the results of all those procedures are, I will be giving that and mentioning all those points through an audit.
Kind of scope of work, you can say so.
Yes, like right.
Yeah.
This is what I
Understanding
understood.
includes scope of work, but here like in CPA, so you need to select the best right answer. So sometimes it is tricky. You will see like two answer looks good.
Very good. Yeah.
Right, and there might be like other possibility also which may not be in the options here, like scope of work is also being an understanding established between like management and auditor, but here in this all these 4 points that's not there. So you need to select the best right answer. That is also a trick in the CPA examination.
And if we like see these options, option 2 and 3 are like upfront are wrong, because these are not management's responsibility. In fact, these are auditor's responsibility to identify mitigating factors and to provide do that assessment of risk of material misstatement.
Yeah.
So I don't know how students approach their questions. As per my opinion, my understanding, if we strike off the wrong answer, then we'll be able to arrive at the answer that which is correct.
Absolutely true. We can easily strike off this one and we can strike off this one. Makes sense. How about 1 and 4?
Again, for materiality judgment, is not the right word, I would say.
Mhm.
But they are, I would say, reasons and supporting factors which may be on the basis of your financial statement, your thresholds and all. So here they're talking about preliminary judgments. So I don't know, but judgment is not a correct word in this
Yeah.
option.
But if you look at the question and then come back to the fourth point, what is the call of the question? Then you can connect the dot.
Is required.
Sir,
They're
can I add any
trying to
points, sir?
establish a understanding, and here they're talking about the
Understanding,
judgment.
yes. Right. It's not
So,
about the
Yeah,
response.
yeah.
It's an understanding with the client regarding services to be.
Wherein you technically agree to, I mean, both the parties agree on something and then proceed further. And judgment is something that we are judging on any of the things and then taking our call.
Right? Make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
How about others? Rahul, Vineet, Kashish. Make sense how we reach to this first answer? Sorry, you're saying something?
sir, can I say something?
Yes, yes.
Sir, in audit engagement, sir, auditor is not responsible for giving any judgments. For example, for checking materiality and audit risk factors, they may take any consultancy service from other people for judgments. The auditor responsible is primarily is giving only for opinion and making the client aware.
No,
of this.
calculating the materiality is auditor judgment.
It is for his purpose,
Hmm.
but not for the client.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with client.
So the general, the answer itself says that, I mean, to me, the answer is very clear, sir. The word judgment, when I have seen, at the time only I've cancelled the fourth option.
Cool. Cool. So this is about like audit engagement. Maybe like after this class, you can do practice some multiple choice question from your software, right? So any doubt here, like we covered two small concept generally, key consideration for audit engagement, and then scope of work, consideration for the scope of work, right? And we have done few multiple choice questions basis that.
Sir, can you please share these files, sir?
Yeah, I'll send you in the chat here.
Okay, sir. Thank you.